back to the channel. We're going to talk about some antique engines here in just a second. But first, I wanted to show you, a couple of weeks ago I had a sticker giveaway and nobody won. I had a pretty simple task. All you had to do was identify this part. What on earth is this out of? And here's your answer. This piece came out of this antique John Deere engine. This is a 1933 John Deere Model E, 1 horsepower. Sometimes these are called flywheel engines, hit and miss, explosive engines. They have a lot of different names. This particular model was made from about 1926 until about 1946, I believe. Came in 3 different versions. The 1 horsepower, that's the little guy here. The 3 horsepower and the 6 horsepower. By far most common is this guy right here. They did some upgrades over the years as they produced these. They did eventually convert it to a spark plug ignition system. Originally in the beginning, I think they were all battery ignition. This one actually has a magneto and an igniter, and actually runs. So we're going to start this up for you and show you what it can do. Kind of a fun engine to listen to run, just the hit and miss where it pops and chug, 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 pop, chug, 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 chug. They're fun engines. I've got one more little old engine over here I want to show you. This is a 1.5 horsepower Yates hit and miss engine. I believe this one was manufactured in about 1920, putting it at over 100 years old. I have had this one running. It's currently missing the mag. It's off to get repaired. You can see I've adapted a snowmobile carb to it. The original carburetor was long gone. Found this one in I can't remember, I think it was like scrapyard or an old antique place up in northern Montana, and been in the family a lot of years. This John Deere was actually originally bought brand new by relatives 80 plus years ago, close to 90 years ago, and was on the ranch forever. My dad saved it from a collapsing building. And I'm not sure what this was used on, but I kind of get the feeling it was used on a cement mixer. I'm pretty sure this is cement. I've tried to flake some of this stuff off, but so yeah. This piece came out of the inside of this engine. It actually sits, you can actually see the new one I made right in here. You've got a gas tank underneath here, and this is your gas cap. And you've got this base, and then there's a gasket, a piece of metal, another gasket, and then the actual engine. So the oil sits on top of this plate, and the bottom is the top of the gas tank. And if you look close, I think you can see some holes in it. So what happens is moisture builds up in the gas tank and sticks to the roof, causes rust, and then all the oil drains into the gas tank, and then you start it and it sucks all the oil up, and you think your engine's wore out because it's burning oil. Or worse, it runs without oil because there's no oil in the engine, and yeah, that's not good news. So that had this problem, so I built this piece to replace that. This little cup has a couple of spinning little parts in here, you'll see in a minute, that fling oil all over the inside of the engine. So that's kind of your oil filter right there. It just screens the oil as it goes into this cup, and then it gets sprayed everywhere and falls down and kind of flows back in. Let's move forward in time just a little bit. 1933 John Deere 1 horsepower, probably weighs like 300 pounds, to a 1948 Briggs & Stratton. This is a model NS. I believe this is roughly 2 horsepower. Lots of upgrades, as you can see. We now have the magneto and spark plug ignition. It has a suction carb. This design became the norm for the next probably 50 years. Very, very common to see that suction engine style. And this is one I've gone through and kind of cleaned up, and planning on eventually doing a first start video for you guys. It's a clean looking engine, but if you compare these two engines, you'll notice a massive size difference. And the little black one actually is twice as strong as this one. Well, I guess we probably can't really say that. This little black one has twice as many horsepower as the big green one. Okay, it's interesting to think about. 15 years or so between the two designs, and quite a bit of technology change. Fast forward from this guy another 25 years, and we've got this engine. So this is from a 1978 Honda Xl350. And what I want you to realize is that everything from here back, this is all transmission. So the engine part is all this, and from about here forward. Okay, so not a whole lot bigger than the little Briggs & Stratton over there. It is definitely bigger. This is a 350, and stock, this little engine put out roughly 30 horsepower. Okay, so if you're comparing size from 1 horsepower to 2 horsepower to 30 horsepower, and again, this motor now is over 40 years old, we've gone up drastically. And even now, we can go back to this engine. So this engine is the process of being modified. It's had some port work done on both the intake and exhaust. It's been bored, so instead of a 350, it's going to wind up as a 412, and I'm hoping to get 45 to 50 horsepower out of this engine when I'm done. Quite the change in technology as we go through the years. Engines are just cool. They're so much fun to talk about and learn about and see what they can do. Well, without further ado, let's start this guy up. If you haven't figured it out yet, guys, I love engines. I prefer them attached to 2 wheels, but hey, anything internal combustion engine, it's gonna be around. So if you love this kind of stuff, please comment, tell me what you'd like to see more of. Old engines, kind of old engines, motorcycle engines, let me know what you think. And as always, stay tuned, please subscribe. So let's give you a quick breakdown of this engine. We have a magneto back here. This little magnet has a bunch of copper wires in here, and as that spins, it creates electricity. It's basically a little generator. This is called your igniter, and this rod is on a cam, so it moves back and forth, and when you hear it snap, right, it goes back, catches. Oh, why isn't it catching now? There it goes. So right here where it catches, you'll hear it snap. It's collapsing the electrical field, causing a spark inside of here. Kind of cool. Very, very old school, but it works. So we got to do a couple of things. I did tinker with this already. I cleaned the magneto, or I cleaned the igniter. I did get it to fire. The gas that's in it is super old, but it does look like it's sucking it up. I do want to check the oil, so I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll see if she'll run. So there is an oil fill right here. Let me pull this off and just look. And there's definitely some oil in there. Just for fun, I'm going to pull this little cover off so I can show you the replacement piece. So I guess that's 9/16 and I got a 5/8. Yep, gotta go grab a different socket. Alright. So that other engine, if you look at it, it's all uncovered, it's all open. Must have been a huge mess being around one of those when they're running with the oil cups or the grease cups. This one was a little more modern, all enclosed, so it kept all the oil in, a little less messy, but these are still pretty messy engines. Long bolt. This has a weird. Okay. So you can see that scraper there. It keeps the oil from going where they don't want it. I think that's supposed to be in there. What the heck is it? Just a piece of paper? Yeah, it's just a piece of paper. Interesting. And it actually is low on oil. I'm going to get some oil for it and we'll pour it in there and then we'll show you where this new piece is. So if you look in here, you can see the cup that I made, the bottom, that little square piece there. You can see on the right hand side that little bar that's moving back and forth. That's the slinger. So it goes down in that little cup of oil and it sprays oil everywhere, along with there's a weighted governor on this side. You can see they're pretty good. Got the connecting rod, super long rod, piston right there, and then all the gearing for our camshaft and the generator back here. So let's put the cover back on and see if we can start it. No joy, so we're going to pull the igniter off, see if it's flooded. there you have it. 1933 John Deere Model E. Pretty sure it was not running on gasoline. I'm almost positive it was running on pure oil. Actually cleaned up a little bit. You can hear all the fans running. Fresh air coming in. Next up, we got to start this guy. Finish it up and do a first start. Please subscribe if you love old engines. Hope to see you around.